This video is for Big English 4. Let's revise what we did this week. So, the final bit of use to. When we make questions with the verb used to, we use, and this is in the past, we use did plus used to. So, for example, this is habits in the past, asking questions about habits in the past. Example, what did people used to do without cars? What did people used to do without cars? Okay. So, we need to use used to or used to create these sentences. So, you completed them with these answers. So, my granddad used to walk to school. He didn't used to ride a bike. People used to cook on coal stoves. They didn't used to cook in microwaves. Did people used to listen to MP3 players? No, they didn't. They used to listen to the radio. Before cars, what did people used to do for transportation? They used to travel by horse and carriage. Before computers, how did people used to keep in touch? They used to write letters. We made sentences with used to or didn't used to. My dad used to travel by car. My grandma didn't used to have a mobile phone. People didn't used to wash clothes in a washing machine. My sister used to watch films. My brother used to play video games. And people didn't used to listen to MP3 players. Okay, and then we moved on to some maths. So, average speed, distance travelled, equation, kilometres per hour, number of hours, and times. So, what's the average speed of a modern car? How fast does it travel? Number 1, horse and carriage. Until the early 1900s, many people travelled by horse and carriage. A horse and carriage had an average speed of 8 kilometres per hour. If a horse and carriage travels for 4 hours, how far does it travel? Look at the equation. 8 kilometres per hour, the average speed, times 4, the number of hours travelled, equals 32 kilometres, the distance travelled. Model T. In 1908, the Model T Ford became one of the first popular cars in the world. The average speed of a Model T was about 40 kilometres per hour. If a Model T travels for 4 hours, how far does it travel? Let's do the equation. 40 kilometres per hour, the average speed, times 4, number of hours, this equals 160 kilometres, the distance that it travels in 4 hours. And modern car. Cars today are much faster than they were in the past. The average speed of a modern car is about 90 kilometres per hour. If a person travels in a modern car for 4 hours, how far does he or she travel? Let's do the equation. 90 kilometers per hour, the average speed. 4, the number of hours traveling. This equals 360 kilometers, the distance travelled by a modern car in 4 hours. So we had to do some maths here. If a horse and carriage travels for 2 hours, how far does it travel? If a modern car travels for 12 hours, how far does it travel? If a Model T travels for 5 hours, how far does it travel? If the average speed of a person on a bike is 15 kilometers per hour, how far does he or she travel in 3 hours? If you want to do the maths again, go ahead, or check in your books. And the final bit of reading we did, so ancestors, cultures, nomadic, traditional, and tundra, a very cold place without a lot of trees or plants. Where do the Koryak people live? Traditional cultures. There are many different groups of people around the world. All these groups have got their own interesting traditions and cultures. The Maasai people of Kenya in Africa are one of the most famous tribes on the planet. The Maasai are nomadic. This means they do not live in one place all the time. They move from place to place and make new homes each time they move. They often build their homes in the forests from things they can find in nature: mud, sticks, grass, and rocks. Some of their villages haven't got running water or electricity. The Hmong. The Hmong people of Southeast Asia live in parts of Thailand, Laos, and Vietnam. They have got their own language and their own way of life. Many Hmong live the same way now that their ancestors lived 2,000 years ago. You won't find much modern technology in a traditional Hmong village. The Koryak. The Koryak people live in Russia on the northern part of the Pacific coast. The land is Arctic tundra, which is very cold. For food, these people catch fish and herd reindeer. This picture shows Koryak children cooking food for their family. They are wearing warm hats made of reindeer skins. And your homework this week was to find out about another traditional culture from around the world. I look forward to seeing what you have found. See you next week.